Hi, friends.
He's Zach.
He's Mitch.
And this is an excellent little podcast.
Wait.
What?
Something's different.
Yeah? You were supposed to say
I'm Zach.
Yeah, and I'm Mitch.
And this has been
An excellent little podcast. And also...
Something's still wrong.
What?
Wait. I think we have a new title.
We do! And also, guess what?
What?
Our top 10 is live on Spotify.
Oh my God, we're actually live.
We're podcasters, and that's what we're talking about. We do have a new title on Spotify.
Oh, yes, we are. Our show name is now A Little Movie Podcast.
Yes.
But it is still held by our company, An Excellent Little Podcast.
So either way, we are little and we are excellent, but it's just a title change.
That it is. Well... This episode is actually going to be really, really special, I feel, because instead of looking to the future...
We are looking at the past.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Specifically, Casablanca, 1942.
Yes. Oh, my goodness.
So there's something really specific that we really love about this specific movie. Mm-hmm. Mitch... It's your first time viewing Casablanca.
Yes, it is. I had never seen it. I don't know what I was doing with my life, but that was my first ever viewing, was when we watched it. And oh my gosh, such a great film. Such a great film. I can totally understand why people love this movie so much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, the reason why I brought this one up specifically was because this is one of my all-time favorite movies of all time. Mm-hmm. To me, this is one of the best cinema movies ever created. So I knew that this would be a good one that we could review together and have fun. And when I heard that you hadn't seen it, I was like, oh, perfect. What is one of the best movies to start a movie podcast with than reviewing Casablanca?
Right. Well, when you asked me, like, what's my favorite movie, I told you it was The Godfather.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then you told me yours was Casablanca. And I said, you know what? I've never seen that. I feel like that would be a perfect movie to put on here because, number one, nobody has really reviewed it recently.
No.
Because it's really a forgotten classic. Not a lot of people still talk about it.
No, most people talk about like Citizen Kane and like that being like the all-time perfect movie of that era. Right. But I feel like Casablanca honestly is 10 times better than Citizen Kane, if I'm honest.
Well, I've actually never seen Citizen Kane.
It's an okay movie. Mm-hmm. Not the best in my opinion, but a lot of people really do like it. So maybe that can be another one we review at some point is Citizen Kane. But we are here to talk about Casablanca.
We are here to talk about Casablanca. And I know Zach wants me to get started because this is my first time seeing it. So I'm just going to start out.
I'm so excited. I'm really excited to hear what he has to say.
So I loved this film. From start to finish, you have Humphrey Bogart and Ingrid Bergman. Is that her name? That's what I thought. I had it right. I sometimes mix her and Audrey Hepburn or Katharine Hepburn up a few times. I don't know why. So going into this movie, I looked at the Rotten Tomatoes score. I looked at the Metacritic score, IMDb, and I'm just seeing critical acclaim all across the board. People went to go see it. People loved it. It was set in a really important time in the 40s. World War II had just started. And this is really what the movie dealt with, was World War II, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, actually, since this is your first time seeing it, would you be willing to give at least a synopsis of what exactly happens in Casablanca?
So I'm going to try. Mm-hmm. And if I fail, that's why I have you, Zach.
Yes.
So basically the movie starts with Rick, his name, played by Humphrey Bogart, is a club owner. If I'm not mistaken, it was his club, right?
Rick's Cafe Americano is his cafe's name.
Rick's Cafe Americano.
Yes,
he's a club owner, and it's set right in the middle of the beginning. I wouldn't say the beginning of World War II, but America had just joined World War II.
Not just yet. America is not joined just yet. But Germany has invaded France at this point, which is actually what kicks off pretty much why all these events in the movie are happening right now.
So, but you could tell right away, Rick had something to hide. And I did not read the synopsis before I watched this movie. I had no idea what was going on, which I tend to do. I do read the synopsis a little too much.
Sure.
But I did not read it. I went in a clear mind. empty head.
Yeah.
And I could tell right away, and this just goes to show you how good of an actor Humphrey Bogart is. There was something that was like going on behind those eyes of his.
Yeah.
Behind that charming facade,
Yep.
if you will, that Bruce Wayne-esque facade. And because I knew that something was going on, and you could tell right away in like the first few minutes when you first see him, because every time like a German soldier or Louis, the French
police officer, yep.
they would always like try to go at him, and he just like a snappy comeback.
Yep.
I'm like, he's either like the most charming, sophisticated asswipe that I have ever seen in a film, or he has got something to hide, or he has something like a chip on his shoulder for something that has happened before.
Yeah.
And as the movie starts, the first scene, or really the first act, basically goes throughout a night.
Yes.
And throughout the night, he's just being himself, Rick is, and then all of a sudden, a former lover, if I'm not mistaken, it's Miss Lund, Ilsa Lund, played by Ingrid Bergman. Thank you, Zach, for refreshing my memory with the IMDb page. She pops into his life, and there's a quick flashback.
Yeah.
Where they were lovers before Germany invaded France.
Yeah.
They were supposed to run away together, but unfortunately, Miss Lund left Rick at the train station.
Yep.
So right away, there's your classic. Either the guy leaves the lady at the train station or the plane station or the airport.
Yep.
But this is vice versa. He's in the rain, and I'm like, man, already we've had so many classic scenes and everything. So that just already had sealed the deal with it being a classic for me. But then the movie kept going and going and going. Rick meets her husband, and it was really hard not to get sucked into this movie, because it wasn't an action film. It was all just basically, there was so much dialogue, and if you missed a single bit of that dialogue, you're lost. You are long gone. You have to be in this movie. You know how a lot of people, myself included, when they're watching a movie, they like to check their phones. Don't do that with this movie. I am begging you. Don't do that ever, but definitely don't do it with this movie. So as the movie goes on, Rick and Ilsa, it is Ilsa, right?
Yeah, it's Ilsa Lund.
Ilsa Lund. They start to rekindle their romance. And Rick starts to see that the cause that Ilsa's husband goes for, and his name is Victor Laszlo. Thank you. The cause that because Victor Laszlo was in a concentration camp. He was, was he a Jew, or was he?
No, so he was Czechoslovakian.
That was it. Yes.
So he was captured by the Nazis very early, and he kept on escaping concentration camps. So he was in 5 different concentration camps, moving all the way down, trying to escape and working with undergrounds. In all the cities that he would visit and then get captured and then escape.
And that's what made them go to Casablanca, because there's a way to get to America. They have to fly to Lisbon.
Yes.
And then they can then make their way to America. But they need visas, which they do not have because of Victor Laszlo's history in the concentration camps.
Yes.
And Casablanca is Germany invaded. There's not really an empty space.
Pretty much, yeah.
Even though they're technically, like, Germany doesn't control it yet, there's still a lot of German officers, there's German soldiers all over the place. It's really difficult for them to obtain a license. So Ilsa goes to Rick for help, because he has those transit papers from the beginning of the movie.
Yes.
From, I think... it was an informant.
It was, so the thing that kicks off this movie is you hear that these letters of transit that cannot be stopped. If you travel, you cannot question these letters if you have them in your hand.
Correct.
2 German couriers were murdered with one, and the papers were never found.
Right.
So we found out someone from Casablanca by the name of Ugarte, murdered these couriers and got the letters. And he went to Rick's. And Ugarte was going to sell them to Laszlo, but Ugarte knew that the Germans were on his tail, so he hid them at Rick's, and he had asked Rick to hide them for him.
A classic place where he hid them too. I'm not going to say where he hides them because I want people to actually see it for themselves.
Yes.
But throughout the movie, there's a certain object that is used throughout the first, really all the 3 acts.
Yeah.
And it's a perfect hiding place, a classic hiding place. And so...
And Ugarte gets captured, so Rick has these letters.
I think he gets more than captured, Zach.
Oh, yeah, he dies.
Spoiler. So anyway, throughout the movie, Ilsa is asking Rick for these transit papers because without them, they can't go anywhere.
Nope.
And throughout their our arguments, because Rick is very bitter to Ilsa for leaving him at the train station, not telling him that she's been married for so long, because while they were together in Paris, she was married to Victor Laszlo. Victor Laszlo at the time was still at a concentration camp, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So he's bitter. But after a while, Rick really becomes, and Zach, you can add on to this too.
Okay.
Rick, to me, was not that type of I'm gonna be a hero at the end of the movie. He did not want to be a hero.
No,
but he quickly turned into that. In a matter of from when the second act becomes a third act.
Yeah,
he quickly became that. Okay, I am going to set aside my ego and my bitterness to make sure that these two get to America safely, because it's for a good cause, because of what the Germans have been doing over these past couple years.
Yeah.
Your take on that, would you agree? Or
100%. I'll get into it when I start talking about the movie, how that turns and whatnot, and actually how the movie itself is actually a reflection of the U.S. actually trying to enter the war. But yeah, Rick starts as a very vehement centralist. He has no opinion on anything. He always says the answer that will get him in the least amount of trouble to everybody, to the Nazis, to the French, to everybody. He is a dead set centralist. And then as the movie goes on, he starts forming opinions again.
Yes. Well, he's also a very bitter human being, if you really think about it.
Yes.
And as the third act begins, and I'm not going to go into too much detail on that, because I don't really want to tell anything about this movie's ending, because I need people to see this movie for themselves. So, but it's such a beautiful, beautiful movie, just quotable quotes, one after the other, great performances all around. And it's just a very beautiful movie just to watch. And when I left watching that movie, I almost teared up on the way home, because I'm a little disappointed that I never got a chance to see that in the cinema.
Yeah.
I really just can't put into words how much of a near perfect movie that this was.
And that's the thing, it rarely gets shown in the cinema anymore. I always am looking for a Fathom event or something to bring it back, because even The Godfather is about to come out with his 40th anniversary, and it's going to get a 4K movie release. Casablanca hasn't been in the theaters in years.
And this movie is going to be turning 80 this year.
Yeah.
But you know what isn't turning 80? I want to hear your review, because so from a new perspective, I want the audience to know this movie from a more seasoned perspective, such as yourself. So, gotcha. Mr. Zach, it is your time.
Absolutely. So my first interaction with this film was back in high school. It was part of my teenage angst to go back and watch all the older stuff, because back then I was like, the classics were where it's at. None of this new modern age stuff. We need more of the classics again. I wanted to be such a snob when I was younger. So I always heard, and that's where I first watched Citizen Kane and Casablanca and all those things. And I got my true, old style movification is
a movification.
A movification, not a mummification. I love The Mummy, almost all incarnations of it except for the Tom Cruise one.
I haven't seen that, but I've heard nothing but horrible things.
But Brendan Fraser one's where it's at. Fraser one is where it's at for The Mummy.
I'm so glad his career's getting back on track.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Good for Brendan Fraser.
But back to Casablanca. I fell in love with this movie in high school. This was such a wonderful movie, and I continued watching it all the way through college. It was actually my second idea for a thesis if my first thing didn't happen, which was Hunchback. Hunchback did end up happening, so I was really happy and excited about that. But Casablanca was actually going to be my fallback.
Really?
So, yeah, it's such a wonderful little capture of 1940s history. And the reason why I love it so much is because this movie was basically being used as propaganda to start winning the U.S. people over for us to go fight in World War II.
Yes.
And I can show you exactly how it's basically portrayed. So, Rick basically doubles for America. In the beginning of World War II, America was centralist on everything. Right. They gave support mostly to the Allies, but they also gave a little bit of support to Germany and the Axis, not the Axis powers, but because that's World War One, but to the Nazis and all the other side too, because they did not want to be caught up in the middle of a conflict because we were still getting over the Great Depression.
Correct.
However, with how everything was going on in Britain and everything that was starting to come out with France.
And we had just been bombed, too, from Pearl Harbor.
France was begging for help. Yeah. Paris was taken. They were basically losing their country, and the Nazis were winning. They were marching. They were pleading America for help. Yeah. And that's where Victor Laszlo's character comes in, is for the pro-US, we need help from France, for France kind of a character. Right. Then you have Captain Louis Renault, who is more of the, well, we were taken over, all hail the supreme leader, overlord Hitler. Because if I say anything, the Gestapo is going to kill me.
Right.
So I just have to do my best.
Right.
And while they don't have much power over here, they still have power over here. Correct. So I need to do what I can in order to not die.
Yeah, not get killed or get sent to, or worse, get sent to one of those camps.
Yeah. And then Major Heinrich Strasser, very obvious. They don't sugarcoat it. He is a flat out major in the Nazi Reich.
An asswipe, too.
An absolute asswipe. But he embodies all things of the Nazi Party. And you really see it, how basically it breaks down how the U.S. got into the war before they ever did.
Right.
And it's really wonderful, and it's so cool just to kind of live in that 1940s pre-U.S. World War II era, and it's so cool to see that kind of cinema and that kind of acting, because, oh my gosh, acting now is so different from acting back in the 1940s.
Yeah, and if I may, you would never, ever, ever see acting like this nowadays. I'm sure we've come close. Like, have you seen The Marriage Story with Scarlett Johansson and Adam Driver?
So I know of it. I haven't seen it just yet.
That is the closest movie, other than Birdman and other things like that, where I am seeing the movie take place within two people, whether it's male, female, male, female, whatever.
Sure.
Where the movie is made from dialogue.
Gotcha.
And this movie, to me, really, really, really just pictures the old 1940s, 1950s, and sometimes even the 1960s, where movies were made from dialogue.
Yeah.
And it came from the actors playing off of each other.
100%.
And you could always tell when an actor and actress did not have very good chemistry right away. And these two, Humphrey Bogart and Ingrid Bergman, immediately, as soon as she comes into the club and sits down and Humphrey Bogart sees her, you immediately just felt the spark.
Yeah.
And you immediately felt the story unfold and what was going to happen later. And you could also see Rick's turn of events from that. What was it that you
centralist?
The centralist. Thank you. He became that centralist character. He was from that centralist point of view to, okay, I am going to start maybe not make a difference, but try to turn things around for the better good. Maybe?
Yeah. No, he really does embody the friend that just won't do anything, and you're like, Jesus Christ, do something.
Right.
God, come to Magic Kingdom with me. No, I got work. Okay, what about Universal? 2 weeks from now? No, I'm busy. What am I your friend anymore? What's going on?
So I have a confession to make. I can sometimes be that friend, but not for reasons for that reason.
Yeah.
Just be like, I have social anxiety.
But yeah, there's it's so beautiful on how they do it. And there's two people that I really do love that I want to give credit in this movie as well. First off, being S.C. Sakal as Carl, which is basically Rick's right-hand man. He's basically this German Jewish man that absolutely kills it, because it embodies how Rick is centralist because he's hiring a German in a French occupied area. So he's showing I don't really care who I hire as long as you do a good job, kind of a thing.
Right.
And Carl basically runs the bar. Rick just signs the checks. Carl runs it. And he always brings such life to the bar whenever Rick doesn't.
I'm sorry for interrupting.
No, you're fine.
Review, but he was almost, when on Hamlet there's a Rosencrantz and Guildenstern.
Yeah,
he was almost like one of those two.
100%.
Yeah,
I feel like Sasha was the other end of that, who was the bartender.
Yeah, you could also add Dooley Wilson as Sam. Almost.
And that's who I was gonna bring up, was Dooley Wilson. Because,
really?
Oh my God.
I know.
The soundtrack of this movie is so good.
Yes.
And it comes down to actually one of, he brings such life and such a great, Jiminy Cricket almost style to Rick.
Yeah.
Because throughout the movie, Sam, who's played by Dooley Wilson, is basically dude, Rick, don't go with Ilsa. She wrecked you. No, don't do this. And Rick is always just plunging farther down and farther down. And Sam's like, dude, you're doing this to yourself. I love you, but you're doing this to yourself at this point. And his voice is so amazing. He plays the piano so well. And then
Play It Again, Sam.
Play It Again, Sam. It's one of the most famous songs from that era that comes out. And then I have to talk about my all-time favorite scene in all of cinema, which comes from this movie. So let me set the scene. Victor Laszlo goes up to Rick and he says, I know you have the letters of transit. Why? Why aren't you giving it to me? And Rick says, ask your wife.
Yeah.
Ask your wife.
That you could tell that's such a crucial scene.
It is a crucial scene. And then all of a sudden, down in the bar, you hear singing.
Yeah.
a bunch of German shoulders led by Major Heinrich Strasser is leading the Germans to sing Ich an der Rhein, which is basically a song about a big German victory. Yeah. And you can tell the rest of the bar is petrified.
And very, very upset.
Very upset because at this point, French think the war is lost.
Right. Well, and what Victor Laszlo did after that really was a moment for me that it wasn't just like the French going at it too, but it was almost because Humphrey Bogart, with what Victor Laszlo did, when he let him do it, that was basically like, that could have been taken as America. You know what? Maybe we should do something.
Yeah, that's the first spark you see from Rick is that first, I'm going to have an opinion. So what Victor Laszlo does is, as the Germans are singing, he marches down to the band and he says, "Play La Marseillaise," which is the French national anthem.
And when Rick nodded
to tell the band, because they didn't want to do it.
Yeah, and he just he nodded. And that was the moment for me that really, because I know the moment that you're talking about. That's the moment when you're comparing this movie to America's plan to go into World War II. That was the moment that really was telling us that, America should probably be doing something about this war.
Yeah. And then it just leads to the most beautiful moment of La Marseillaise drowning out the German Reich. And you see all the emotion, and the cinematography is beautiful in this moment because it pans not only to Victor Laszlo, but to Ilsa, to Rick, to the people in the bar as they're crying. Yeah. Absolutely crying as they are singing their beaten country's national anthem, and they drown out the Germans.
Right.
They drown out the Germans, and the Germans end up giving up, and by the end they're going "Viva France!" They're pumped to the point where Heinrich Strasser is like, "I'm done. This is it. Yeah. We're closing the bar. That's it. I'm done." And it's such a beautiful use of music to storytelling. So simple. Two songs that really don't mean much storytelling wise,
but they contradicted each other.
But contradicting each other and put in context, create a story and make a beautiful story. And that is why Casablanca is one of my all-time favorite films.
So before we get to our rating.
Yeah.
You mentioned your favorite moment. May I mention my favorite moment?
Absolutely. I would love to hear your favorite moment.
So my favorite moment is very, very cliche. And for those of you at home listening, it's going to be a little spoilery. But to me, hands down, period, amen, as Zach likes to say. I've been hanging out with him a little too much, but you know what? That's okay. It's clearly the ending scene before Rick sends Ilsa Lund and Victor Laszlo on the plane.
Yeah.
Because these two, you could tell Ilsa did not want to leave.
No.
Did not want to leave. But Rick was basically saying, you're going to regret it. You're going to regret it. Maybe not today, but soon you'll regret it. Yep. He was basically telling her that if she stays, both her and Victor, if they stay, they will die.
Yep.
Nothing would happen to Rick. I mean, he may get arrested and things like that, and he'll be put on, get his bar closed or whatever.
Or be put on trial or put into a concentration camp. But
he wasn't going to die.
No.
But he just knew that it was just the way that he was telling her that even though I will never see you again, just to know that if you stayed here with me and you died, he would not have lived with himself. And you could tell, the whole time he's telling, and that was just so Humphrey Bogart and Ingrid Bergman, their chemistry. Yeah. Humphrey Bogart just became one of my favorite actors and because of just that last scene. I mean, he's literally about to cry.
Yeah.
Ingrid Bergman is crying.
Yeah.
And he's basically telling her, if you stay with me, even though I would love for you to stay, you're going to die.
And regret letting Victor Laszlo get away.
Yes. Because you could tell, even though she was really happy with Rick, Ilsa loved Victor.
Yeah.
She really, really did. They could start a family. They could be happy in America.
Yep.
I also feel that Rick had something going on in America that he didn't really touch upon, which is fine.
Yeah.
That's really not important. But,
well, and it added to the mystery of Rick as well at the beginning and they even bring it up. They're like, why are you not going back to America? And they bring up, like, did you kill a man? Did you make bad gambling debts? Do you owe somebody? And he's like, it's maybe a mixture of all.
Well, but it was the fact that he told her that if you stay here with me, even though I would love nothing more in the world, you will regret it and you're going to die. And he couldn't live with that.
Yeah.
It was literally a superhero move.
Yeah.
A superhero move, even though he's not wearing a cape, he's not in a cowl, he's not in tights or anything. He was a 1940s hero that people really need to see at that time.
Oh, yeah.
And I have to agree with you, it was a beautiful movie. And I would have to say, this rating,
we rarely will give out this rating.
Yeah.
Like, it's one of those kind of ratings that it's saved for the best of the best.
And may I do the honors?
Absolutely.
This is a clean plate.
He said it! We have a clean plate! Yes! Oh, that's so good to hear. We're probably never going to have that except for maybe the next one. But but it's like a clean plate we really do save for the best of the best. And there's no better way to start to like kick off a podcast though with a clean plate review.
Yes.
Like this movie is perfect from start to finish. It starts with a bang and does not let up all the way until the very end.
Oh, I could not agree more. I really, really couldn't agree more. I do have to thank you, Zach, for allowing me to watch this movie. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, thank you for trusting me with even suggesting this movie, because not a lot of people are like, Casablanca, I don't want to watch a black and white 1940s movie.
But now I'm excited for you to watch my pick.
Oh, I am so excited because I'm literally this review right now is literally moments away before I get my own Godfather cherry popped. I am so excited. I keep on hearing so much about The Godfather, and I somehow just never got around to watching this film. And so I'm excited that it's your favorite film, and I'm excited that I get to watch it as your favorite film, and I'm excited that I get to finally see this entire thing. And I promise, out of the one-liners that I know of this film, I will not forget the cannolis. I will not leave those alone.
So those of you that are confused, we are going to watch The Godfather. It is my favorite movie that isn't comic book related, period, amen. It's just an absolute beautiful movie. It's phenomenal. The acting with, Marlon Brando, Al Pacino, Robert Duvall, James Caan, Diane Keaton, the list goes on and on. Directed by Francis Ford Coppola. Zach is about to collapse.
I'm in tears because that's like a perfect cast.
He is so excited. So, but before we go and before we end, we do have to let you know there's not really going to be any newer release reviews coming up. We were thinking about Death on the Nile, but that's just not in the cards right now. But I think our next newer release review has to be Uncharted.
100%.
Yes.
We are both really looking forward to it. It was actually on Mitch's top 10. We are definitely, Mitch is definitely excited. I'm definitely excited to review it.
I actually got the remastered PS5 version.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. So I may play that a little bit just to, prepare.
Yeah.
We also have a question for you, audience.
Yeah, we actually would love to hear what you want us to talk about. Yeah. We have so many ideas, but at the same time, we would love to hear what you guys want us to talk about. Because, we've got, top 10 ideas. We got top 5 ideas. We have other reviews that we could do. But we want to hear what you guys want our opinions on. I know we're just two straight white males with yet another podcast. Yeah. But, we would love to hear, what you guys think we should get.
Yeah, I don't know, maybe somebody wants to hear a top 10 favorite James Bond movie.
Yeah.
Or if you want, I know a lot of people do this. It would be certainly an interesting topic. What would be our rank from worst to best on the MCU films?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
That's really something. If you want to hear that, feel free to follow us on Instagram. Our link will be in the Spotify title page. I know it's not on right now, but that is Zach's fault.
Yep, I'm working on it. Don't worry. But if you ever need to contact us, please contact us at elpodcastmz@gmail.com.
Mm-hmm.
So that is elpodcastmz@gmail.com.
And if you can't find that email address, because I know that's a long one, we will have our own respective Instagram handles on the Spotify page. That way, if you want to DM us with a question or a suggestion, feel free to reach out.
100%.
Absolutely. But until that time, I'm Mitch.
I'm Zach.
Wait, that was different.
Oh, right. Again, we have a new title and we are going to break a little protocol here.
So again, I'm Mitch.
I'm Zach.
And this is
An Excellent Little Podcast.